Hi everybody, and welcome to another video. Today I'm going to show you how to color hair the traditional way. So the first thing you need to do is you need to take a Copic marker, and by the way, this is my way of doing it. Take a light colored Copic marker, something with high vibrance. This is Yellow Red 27, and just go over the entire hair, making these kind of light strokes in the direction of the hair. And we're going to be building up lots of different layers of color, so it doesn't matter if the color is laid down perfectly even. In fact, when coloring hair, it does help to have some streaks throughout the hair. And I think this part I'll have to do in time lapse, so I'll be back in just a couple of seconds. Okay, the next step is to go to a darker color. So I have a dark brown here. When you're choosing this color, it should be dark enough that when you make a line, it sort of cuts through that original color that you laid down. And when I do this, I'm making sure that I'm leaving some parts blank now so that I can create some light. And I'm sort of going back into the darkest parts. So I always start from the darkest spots and I go into the lighter spots. And this way I'm starting to create these areas of light. The other thing is my strokes are sort of following the hair. So the hair usually grows from this part here and it will end at the end of the hair. So that's what I'm trying to make my hand follow. If I weren't doing a video, I would be rotating the page a lot to fit my hand. And for the back parts of the hair, most parts of the hair are going to have to be quite dark. And it doesn't really matter how dark you go. You can almost go to pure black if you like for back parts of the hair, because they're behind, they'll be receiving the least amount of light. And again, sort of going from the ends of the hair towards the middle. Once again, go to another dark color. And again, sort of go from the darkest places. Using this sort of light brush stroke with your marker. If you watch the digital coloring video, you'll notice the technique is pretty much the same. And I did develop that technique for the digital coloring by my traditional method, where I color things by doing these sort of lines. Even the brush settings are supposed to be similar to using a Copic marker. And that's because for markers, one of the strong suits is that they are streaky. A lot of people see that as a weakness, and that's why they like Copic markers, because they're less streaky than other markers. But for some things like hair and wood, That streakiness is really an advantage because the texture of those materials has sort of lines and different gradations through it. And like the digital video, try not to kill all your dark, or try not to kill all your light spots. Alright, I'm going to jump ahead to my second darkest color. And here's where I really want to make sure I don't use it so much on the front of the hair. Just a little bit here and there. This is mostly going to be used for this hair here in the back, so I can really push that back. So here is kind of nice. I'm just gonna maybe leave some of that alone. Okay, and then go to the darkest color. Just like in the digital video, this is reserved for the parts that are behind the head to really start to show some depth. Then through here, back of the head, just like that. And you can always trade back. Like, I think that this gradation is a little bit too abrupt. So down here, I'm just going to soften that by going to a slightly lighter color. And that looks much better. So that's how you lay down the Copic marker for your base layer. The next thing to do is to start to add texture to the hair, and for that, colored pencils are much better because you can have a very fine tip. So you're gonna go with a darker color than your lightest one and follow the same pattern of the hair, making sure you cut into the hair's lightest places without going all the way through it. Because if the light hits the hair so strongly, you'll lose the texture, so you should try to replicate that. You can also use it to sort of divide any bands of hair that look particularly thick at the edges. For that, I'm actually going to trade up to a black, because this part of the hair is quite dark. Just like that. And that way your hair is going to have some texture in it, which is nice. Finally, the last thing we're going to do is we're going to add some highlights to it. And I like to do my highlights in 2 stages. The first thing I like to do is I like to use the white colored pencil, and I like to plan out where they're going to go so that I don't go too crazy with them. And the placement tends to just be on the hair that's mostly catching the light. Maybe just those spots. And then to do the actual highlight, I'm going to use some white gouache White gouache is kind of like, it's like an acrylic, kind of like thick watercolor. You don't need very much at all. And I'm going to be using a small brush. This is my smallest brush. It's actually fairly big, mostly because that's what's available. And I'm going to load my brush, trying to create like a chisel tip, and then turn it onto its side. And I'm just going to barely add the highlights. I don't want them to be too strong. Maybe here. There. There. Here. And this is just going to help make the hair look shiny. Here. And that's just a quick way to color hair traditionally. The main method is to go from light to dark using markers, add some texture with some colored pencils, and then finally add some highlights using white gouache. Thank you for watching the video. I will see you all later.